Hello everyone and welcome back to Angels franchise. The Angels are 41-31, only 3 games back of the Rangers in the AL West. But if you missed it, in the last episode, Mike Trout tore his ACL for the second time in the series and will miss the remainder of the year. And as you can see, regression was hitting him quite heavily. He is now under a 90 overall, and of course is only going to continue to get worse. Unfortunately, I think we are kind of beyond the point of no return. I think it would have been a stretch if Trout had stayed healthy all year to realistically come up with a trade for a team that would want a 34-year-old that is as injury prone as Trout is. But now with back-to-back ACL tears, I just don't think there's a world where any team realistically would bite on Mike Trout. Even though when he does play, he is still playing very well, as prior to his injury, he had a 282 average with a 350 OBP and an 800 OPS. So can the Angels continue to stay hot and make some type of wild card push, or is the team about to fall apart? Well, right now we are in the wild card if the playoffs started today, but obviously we are a long ways away from that. With the injury to Trout, it does feel like a decent opportunity to blow up the team, to make any trades that we might want to make, and to just quickly get through this second season. Because let's be honest, I don't think we can keep up this level of play, especially considering the next best player, Zach Neto, is ice cold to start the season, still batting under a 200 average. And in fact, his contact and power ratings are all regressing, and he may need a small stint at AAA. Now, this series against the Rangers is a very important one, and I think it's honestly going to decide a bit of what we do going forward. The Rangers are the team in first in the division right now. If we sweep the series, we could theoretically be leading the division depending on what the Astros do over the next 4 games. So I think it's time to see what this lineup can do without Mike Trout. Anthony Rendon has of course been called up. He will be DHing for us. So in this episode, we'll talk about this series versus the Rangers, and then we'll probably get through the entire month of July. That includes the draft and seeing the prospects as well as the trade deadline. And to be honest, the only player that I think really is going to be traded is Taylor Ward. The only other guy I'd really want to trade is Mickey Moniak. But Mickey Moniak is interesting because for most teams, he's probably not even a starter. He's going to be a bench outfielder. And lastly, before we get started in this series against the Rangers, Jack Kahanowicz, he has just continued to be very solid for us. And I mentioned him in the last episode, and a few of you guys did say that he probably deserves a potential upgrade. What do you think is fair? His true potential is actually much lower than I thought it was. It's a 61. I think to start with, we can at least bump it up to a 70. That feels fair to me. He is at the very least playing like a 70 overall player. I don't think he deserves to be regressing all the way down to a 61. And then if we want to go any higher than that, let me know what you think is fair. But right now, it's technically a +9 is what I'm going to give him, just to even him out at 70 potential. So let me know what you think. Does he deserve like a 75, maybe a touch higher, maybe a touch lower? Give me your thoughts in the comments. But I think bumping him up to a 70 from a 61 at least was fair. Well, we update his potential, and he has his first notably bad outing against the Tigers, getting a loss and only pitching 2 1/3 innings. So now welcome to game number 1 versus the Rangers, the Halos, looking to overtake the Rangers in the standings in this series. If they can do so, then maybe we continue on that playoff push. But if they can't, I think we blow it up. Seager and Taveras are batting very well over the last 14 and 7 games respectively. And then for the Angels, our bullpen has been very good as of late, one of the best in the majors. So in this first game of the series, we're going to be player locking with John Means, a guy we haven't seen much since signing him in the offseason. He is 6-6 on the season with pretty respectable numbers. And the first man he faces is Wyatt Langford. Means his first pitch is one that Langford definitely should have swung at. Strike 3 looking for Langford. That was a very hittable fastball at the top of the zone. But bye-bye Langford. Full count to Josh Smith. Corey Seager on deck, one of the scarier bats in baseball. That's popped way up in the infield. And Means is actually going to be the man that gets underneath it. That is out number 2 here in the top of the first. So now Corey Seager, when healthy, he is one of the best in the majors. Looks at strike 1. This is hit basically directly into left field. Taylor Ward makes the grab, and it's a 1-2-3 inning to start the day for John Means. Willie Castro hits a solo shot, so as we enter the second, it is 1-0 Angels, as now Means gets to nurse a small lead through this one, right down the middle on the fastball. That is hit very well to left, but Taylor Ward doesn't have to move very far. It was mostly just a liner, but he hit the hell out of it. 106 off the bat. 2-2 pitch to Marcus Semien. He's fouled a few off in this AB, but he was looking fastball. We gave him the circle change. Second strikeout for Means. You know, one thing I didn't mention that we could do, we could theoretically try to make some type of superstar trade, get some other star player in here with Neto, maybe don't trade Ward, and really do push to make the playoffs. But how much does that really mean to this Angels team? As we'll head to the third inning now, Means is dealing. Another run comes across for the Halos, top of the third. Means pitching very well so far. Seems to always miss middle with the first fastball of the inning. But like I was saying, is it really meaningful for the Angels to make the playoffs this season without Trout and to likely just be a first round exit? Because let's be honest, even if we do make some type of blockbuster trade, get one other star player in, that makes us, I think, at best, a divisional round exit. Probably still a wild card exit, because let's be real, this is not the best roster. The starting pitching is not great. Our bullpen, I do think, is excellent. I do think we have a pretty top tier bullpen right now after the acquisitions we made in the offseason and with other guys getting better. But the starting pitching's not good. The bats are not the best, and we have very volatile bats as well. Guys that are specifically only good against righties or specifically only good against lefties, and not a lot of guys that can hit both well. So I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to me that even though the Angels are playing relatively well this season, to try to pursue a playoff push. It feels like it would be better spent kind of blowing the team up, getting more assets in, and going for it hopefully next season if Trout can stay healthy. Fourth strikeout on the day for Means, by the way. Bit of a yap sesh here, but I'm sure you guys understand where I'm coming from. That's hit opposite way, and the no bid through 2 2/3 is no longer active. First base hit of the day for the Rangers. As now we're back to the top of the order. One thing I really do like about Means is how quick of a release he has when there's runners on. I mean, look at this. Nobody's running on that. Okay, can we get a strike call, though, please? Langford is once again fouling off a ton of pitches. That one is near the dirt, and now it's a full count. That's hit well to left center field. Chasing it down is Moniak. He gets there, and that will end the top of the third. So 3 innings, 3 runs scored for the Angels. They're getting a run per inning right now. So Means just has to keep it clean and could get out of here with a dub in the first game of the series. Unfortunately, though, Means is already starting to get a little bit low on energy. And here in the fourth, he's missing pretty badly against Smith. 3-0 pitch on its way. And that might have been called a ball, but they're saying he swung at it. And he'll miss with the slider. Walking Smith and bringing Seager to the dish. That's hit opposite way. That's going to get down for likely extra bases. Smith rounding second, heading to third, and they are sending him home. Throw to the plate is in plenty of time. Threw him out by a mile. I don't know why you send that guy in that situation, but the relay works to perfection for the Angels, and it's still 0 on the board for the Rangers. I mean, that beat him by a number of steps. So now it's Josh Young looking to bring a runner around. That runner being Corey Seager at second now. That is popped to fairly deep right field. Adele still going back, but will make the grab. Seager with not great speed will not tag up. So they might leave a runner stranded in this inning. Grounded softly to third. Castro makes the play easily. So nothing comes across in the worst inning so far for John Means. Another inning, another run for the Angels. The streak continues. 4 innings, 4 runs. Hopefully we get a 5th in the 5th as Means gets a favorable call. Not sure how much longer Means will stay in. I don't like to control when they take the pitchers out if I don't have to. I prefer to let the CPU do it, at least in these player lock situations. But Means is starting to miss a bit. Energy is a little low. You can see it there on the right. It's still green, but it's at about 30% probably. He is already up to 72 pitches. A lot of these ABs have been rather long. They're fouling a bunch of stuff off. There's another one as Garcia still has the count full. And now that energy has turned yellow for Means. See how many more batters he gets to face. Another foul ball. Goodness gracious. Swing and a miss on the high heat. Garcia swings underneath it. The 5th strikeout for Means. It does feel like it's only a matter of time until a guy like Rhys Hoskins gets a hold of one of these, because he's not exactly placing the pitches super well at the moment. And that one is grounded on to short. Should be relatively easy for Neto. Makes the throw on the run. That's 2 gone. If it were me, this would be the last inning of work for Means, despite it being a great outing, obviously, to this point. I sort of anticipate that the CPU is going to leave him in, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, still have one more batter to get out in this inning. Trying to get Jonah Heim. 2-2 pitch from Means. That is hit softly to Shonwell, who will call off Means, step on the bag, and that ends the top part of the 5th. So no runs for Means through 5 innings. 4-0 Angels. And they do actually make the pitching change. I'm surprised by the AI. They bring in Quijada, which is typically not the best of signs, but he's been pretty decent recently as we return to simulating, and we end up winning. 4-2 is the final. Langford did hit a 2-run shot, but the Angels take the first game in the series. Game number 2, it's Detmers on the mound for this one. We will be player locking, though, with Joe Adell, who is now batting 3rd in the order. He was off to a pretty hot start at the beginning of the season, has cooled off a bit, struggling a bit more recently, down to a 250 batting average. But he has been having a little bit of a breakout so far this season. He's 26 years old, Joe Adell, so not exactly a young man at this point, but still plenty young, I think, to be a centerpiece of this Angels team if he can continue to improve. Adell hits this on the hit and run. That's going to get into right center field. Center fielder cuts it off. Runner holds it 3rd. So no RBI on the hit and run for Joe Adell, but brings a runner to 3rd. Now 2 on and only 1 out for Logan O'Hoppe, who is having an excellent year and is very obviously a building piece of the future for this team. Wish he was a little bit better against both types of pitchers, as this is looking to be in the dirt, but we are definitely not going on that. O'Hoppe is very much a righty masher at the moment. His contact against lefties, though, this season has gone up by 6 for what it's worth. So he's definitely getting better, but I can only hope that he rounds that out even a bit more as he gets a little bit older. This one hit to right field is going to be chased down. Runner tagging from 3rd. Throw to the plate is not in time, and there's the first run of the day for the Angels. Logan O'Hoppe getting an RBI. If we do decide to not blow it up, I may not trade Taylor Ward, but then we would definitely want to get him on at least a 1-year deal so that we don't just lose him at the end of the season, sort of like we did with Rengifo last season. Bottom of the 3rd, still 1-0 Angels. Adell at the plate, fouls off the first pitch. Looks like Nolan Shonwell over there at first. 2 gone in the inning for Adell. This one popped way up to right. That'll be the 3rd out for Adell. Joe Adell back to the plate, bottom of the 6th. Still 1-0 for the Angels. Reed Detmers is pitching a doozy right now on the other side. Adell, can this get through the infield? Diving play by Seager at short. Adell will beat out the throw. An infield hit for Joe Adell. And that'll bring up Logan O'Hoppe. I've now hopped into the rest of this game here in the bottom of the 6th, looking to get an Angels win again. Logan O'Hoppe, first pitch swinging, and it is way out of here. 393 off the bat of the catcher. Logan O'Hoppe with a big fly, and that will extend the Halos' lead. Now 3-0 over the Rangers. Maybe this team is really pretty decent, even without Mike Trout. Top of the 8th now. The Rangers have gotten back at us a bit with a solo shot that Detmers gave up, and he has been taken out of the game, but gave us 7 scoreless innings. And now it's Castro on the mound, and he has walked batters to 1st and to 2nd. Castro has so far not been the best of acquisitions. Here's his stats so far this season. I mean, just really not great. 5.7 ERA, 1.47 whip. Definitely could be worse, but it could also be a lot better, like what he did last season with Houston. a big part of why we went after him in the offseason. And now he's missing with his sinker pretty badly. Gets a strike there. So he's worked the count back to a 2-2. Another sinker on its way will be picked out of the air by the other Castro. Now 2 gone for Corey Seager. A home run would take the lead, painted on the corner. The 0-2 pitch to Seager. And that is hit opposite way. And it's going to stay fair and end up in the wall. Adele gets this one back in quickly, but it's looking like it's going to score 2 runs at least. And it does. Corey Seager with a base hit and gets 2 RBIs in to tie this one up. Rangers 3, Angels 3 as we head towards the 9th. I said opposite way. That was clearly pulled. I don't know why I said that. This is grounded, and it's actually going to get through the infield. Runner rounding third, heading home. Taylor Ward's throw is in time and gets Seager at the plate. So the Angels will keep it at a tie, but previously 3-0, now 3-3. Bottom of the 8th now. We're going to be looking to take the lead so that we can get the save in the top part of the 9th. This is popped to shallow left and is a pretty easy one for Langford. Castro pops this one to center, also looking like it's going to be no problem. And that is 2 gone in the 8th. So now the man we started this game with, Joe Adele, a chance to put one over the fence, give the Halos a lead, and a possibility for a save. In an 0-2 hole for Joe Adele. The pitch on its way, and he swings at the slider out of the zone. And we head to the 9th, locked at 3 apiece. Connor Brogdon will come in to pitch the 9th inning for the Angels. This is popped just barely into the outfield. Lopez right in front of the ump, who is just absolutely staring him down. They're getting uncomfortably close. This is hit well to left field. Shouldn't be much of an issue for Taylor Ward, though, and it's not. So 2 gone in the top of the 9th for Brogdon. Now it's Reese Hoskins, the man between us and getting to the bottom of the 9th, but he will get a base hit, beating the small shift we had in place. So now they pinch run. Got a man with 98 speed on first. Brogdon just needs to beat Jonah Heim here, though, and he's immediately in an 0-2 hole. Pitch on its way from Brogdon, misses badly. This is popped harmlessly to left field. And we are headed to the bottom of the 9th, where the Angels will have a chance to walk it off. Trevor McGill comes to the mound for Texas, and it's going to be Logan O'Hoppe. Did have that 2-run shot earlier in this one. Logan staying patient, has a 2-1 count. That is left hanging over the heart of the plate, but Logan didn't get enough on it. It was pretty well struck, but that one could have been crushed. O'Hoppe definitely missed one there. Now Taylor Ward with a chance. He's a lot better against lefties than he is against righties. 101 past him. Swing and a miss underneath the fastball. 2 gone, and now it is Nicky Lopez, the last man to potentially get us a victory in 9. Grounded harmlessly to short. And that will end the 9th inning. So we head to extras, deadlocked at 3. So now let's see if Brogdon can do this all on his own without intervention from us. Well, I hit pitch, and he gives up a 2-run shot. We'll bring in Chase Silseth at this point, see if he can just get us out of the rest of the inning. Single, stolen base, and a walk. Goodness gracious. Another single, a run comes around. A ground out, and then a strikeout. So it's now 6-3 for Texas, and all hope is really faded for the Angels. Neto struggling big time this season. Coming up to the plate, batting a .098 with the runners in scoring position this season, despite having one of the higher clutch ratings on the team. And that's high. 3-1 for Neto. The pitch on its way, misses badly, and Neto will walk to first. That brings up Anthony Rendon with a chance to do the funniest thing. Would tie it up with a 3-run shot here. But to be honest, we're just looking to keep things moving. Oh my goodness. Anthony Rendon on an 0-2 count gets one right down the middle and ties this one up in the bottom of the 10th. A 3-run shot for Anthony Rendon, and it's 6-6. That's actually his first home run on the season. I was not expecting this. 6-6, and the Angels aren't dead yet. Look at the location of that slider. I mean, that is hanging. So now nobody out, still the bottom of the 10th. We could theoretically still walk this off. So Moniak goes down on strikes. One gone, we're back to the top of the order with Nolan Schanuel. Oh no! First pitch swinging for Nolan Schanuel, deep to right field. See you later. The Angels walk it off against the Rangers and go up 2-0 in the 4-game series. Nolan Schanuel saw one pitch, elevated in the zone, and crushed it. And the Angels will get out of here with yet another victory. What a comeback that was. I saw us go down 6-3 in the top of the 10th. I thought it was over, but it ain't over till the fat lady sings, I guess. Maybe there's something to this Angels team without Trout. Now 43-32, we go ahead and advance the day. We are now only a game back of the Rangers in first place in the division. So let's see how the rest of this 4-game series goes. And in the bottom of the 9th, we've got a chance to walk it off once again. And the man at the plate is Anthony Rendon, who has been playing very well since getting called back up to the major league team ever since the Mike Trout injury. Now here in the bottom of the 9th, could walk us off. 3-2 for the Rangers. Rendon grounder to second. He's gonna get doubled up, it looks like. Throwing to first is in time. And it's a 4-6-3 double play, shattering the hopes of Angels fans. Now it's Sam Hilliard, who is not having a great season. Sam gets a pretty good one to hit opposite field, and it's gonna be chased down in left center. And the Rangers will stay victorious in this one. A very clutch double play gets them out of harm's way, and they will take the 3rd game in the series. So will the Angels win the series against the Rangers? We will split it 2-2, back-to-back 2-3 games that the Rangers end up winning. So we end up pretty much dead even where we were, still 3 games back, but it was a bad stretch for the Astros. We are still ahead of them in the division. Also, look at how strong our division is this year. Even the Athletics have their record over 500 at this point. So now we're gonna go ahead and get back to simulating a little more rapidly again and getting to the MLB draft and through the trade deadline. We may have just found a diamond in the rough. Nicholas Diamond, an unranked guy out of California. Obviously, don't have him scouted at all, but if these attributes stay the way they are, he looks like he could be genuinely elite. He's immediately number 2 on the Angels draft board. I will be spending the next couple of weeks getting him to 100% scouted and seeing what he has. So we win a series versus the White Sox. And now let's simulate through this final week of June. We've been offered a trade by the Red Sox that I really kind of like. The Red Sox are offering us Brayan Bello for Mickey Moniak. Initially looking at this trade, it didn't make a ton of sense for the Red Sox, in my opinion. Bello is the sort of 6th best guy in a rotation right now, and the Red Sox are dealing with an injury to Jarren Duran. And they do have some outfield depth, of course, with one of the best prospects in the game in Roman Anthony, but they definitely need some more depth while Duran is injured. So I could definitely see them going after a guy like Moniak, who I think is an excellent depth piece. Now, at the same time, I still think that the Red Sox are giving up entirely too much. Like, this is a 26-year-old with still B potential that's already a pretty good starter. And you're getting a 27-year-old who is at his peak and not even having that great of a season. He's also locked up very long-term with the Red Sox. At the same time, I do also think that the Red Sox are doing this in an attempt to free up money to sign Garrett Crochet, who is obviously their ace for years and years to come, if they can get that deal done. Another fascinating thing about this trade is when I cancel it after the Red Sox had offered it and I try to offer it to them myself, they are saying they should be getting more, which I actually agree with, but does that not just show that MLB The Show's trade logic is kind of busted when other teams are offering you the trade and they're like, yeah, we love this, but then when you try to do it yourself, they're like, ew, no, this sucks. I do want to make this trade happen. I like Brayan Bello a lot. I think he could be a really big building block in this pitching rotation for the remainder of this series, and he's locked up for a really long time into 2030. And I do think that the Red Sox absolutely need help in the outfield due to the Duran injury. I want to make this trade happen, and the more I'm looking at it, the more I do think that the Red Sox are most likely doing this trade to free up budget for Garrett Crochet to get him some type of long-term deal. So initially I was like, well, what if we give them Taylor Ward? That helps them a lot in the outfield. That feels more balanced as a trade in general. But then I'm thinking about it, they're not saving a whole lot of money by acquiring Taylor Ward, not to mention that the guy is a loner. So I think that what they are actually looking for is genuinely a guy like Mickey Moniak, a serviceable outfielder that is relatively cheap, who still has one more year of arbitration, who gives them better outfield depth while freeing up a bunch of money to try to give Garrett Crochet his huge contract. So here's the trade I'm ultimately going to do. We get Brayan Bello. They get a cheap but good center fielder in Mickey Moniak, and they also get a couple of prospects at positions of need. So Sam Bachman, he's a 26-year-old, probably needs a change of scenery at this point, but definitely has potential as a relief pitcher. And by the way, their bullpen is really not very good. There's a chance he could be at their major league bullpen right now. And then they also get Eric Brown Jr., a man that we acquired in a trade last season, who we are now using to acquire an even better player. Now, I do think this trade feels a little bit lopsided to the Angels in terms of just the pure talent, but I think given the context of the finances of what Boston needs to be able to sign a guy like Garrett Crochet long term, I actually think it makes a decent amount of sense, especially given the Jarren Duran injury. So we're going to pull the trigger on this, and the Red Sox have accepted. So goodbye, Mickey Moniak. And with that, I do think it is officially time to bring up Chase DeLauter, and I think he will play in center field. We're going to give him his opportunity. So, you know, with Chase DeLauter getting called up, that I do have to do a player lock with him. Welcome to the Bigs, Chase DeLauter, your first matchup against the Cleveland Guardians, who are not having nearly as good of a season as the Angels. And there's the man in question making his major league debut today. And he will play in center field. I believe he has the best speed plus fielding combo, gives him the best range in the outfield to play center in place of Mickey Moniak as he comes onto this one, but he fumbles it. And wow, you just can't make that up. As I'm talking about his fielding capabilities, it's an E8 on his first ever attempt. That's embarrassing. Maybe he'll do a little bit better with the bat. He faces Yusei Kikuchi as the first pitcher of his career. Got one to hit. Hits it the opposite way, but it's going to fly out into left. DeLauter spent spring training with the major league team and was pretty good through the first bit of spring training, but then kind of fell apart at the end and ultimately only had about a 200 average. So we did not decide to keep him at the majors, but kind of expected that he would be back with the team at some point this season due to expected trades of Moniak and Ward. He's getting a lot of action in the field so far today. I guess that's kind of expected as a center fielder. This is actually the former Angel, Kevin Newman. Can DeLauter rob him of a home run? He leaps for it and does not come down with it. Kevin Newman will hit a homer just barely over the top of that fence. And now it is 2-0 for Cleveland. Top of the ninth now. This game is absolutely flown by. DeLauter looking to keep it alive for the Angels. Has to do it against one of the best closers in the majors, Manuel Clase. And that one he just couldn't get on top of. And he looks at the cutter at the bottom of the zone. The high heat change to the eye level brings it down low and gets him looking. And that will end it. The Guardians take a victory over the Angels here. Not the most impressive outing from Chase DeLauter in his season debut, in his series debut even, with an error and no base hits. And we're not going to hop in for this whole next game, but we might do an inning or two just with Brayan Bello in his debut as an Angel as well. And here is that man. He throws a sinker, a slider, a circle change, and a four-seam fastball. Faces Ahmed Rosario, a guy that we went after in the offseason, but ultimately decided to sign with the Guardians. So far, it's looking like he missed out on an opportunity with the Angels, but the Angels also appear to be blowing it up at least a little bit, acquiring the likes of Bello in an attempt to get better for their future. And I think Bello helps us a lot in that regard. Rounder onto Castro playing at third, and Rosario out at first. That is hit very well to second. 101 off the bat, unfortunately just grounded right at Nicky Lopez. Now it's Jose Ramirez batting at 276 so far this season. Bello so far struggling a bit with the placement of that sinker, but it does have a lot of movement on it. It really cuts down pretty hard. Strike three looking for Ramirez. And that'll end the first inning. So far his offense not doing him any favors. Still 0-0 through 2 innings of offense. Strike three looking for Noel. Bello with 2 already in the game. This is softly chopped towards first, and no issue for Nolan Shawnoel. So the minimum so far for Bello, I know it's only the second, but looking great so far in his Angels debut. He had been playing pretty well so far this season. Let's go ahead and show you his stats. This is how he's been doing with Boston. It was honestly kind of a career year, a 3.34 ERA and a 1.34 whip. So it kind of looks like they hadn't fully committed to him being a starter. Appears he came out of the bullpen from time to time. 2-2 pitch to David Fry is on its way. And that'll be grounded towards second. Nicky Lopez on it. And that ends the second inning. Well, I started simulating for Bello, thinking that he would just be settled in now, but he's got the bases loaded with Steven Kwan at the plate, and he just left a sinker middle. Grounded to second. Lopez gets it to Neto, and they can't double him up, which means a run will score for the Guardians. Kind of felt like Nicky Lopez, our second baseman, did not have enough urgency in this one. Did not charge the ball as much as it felt like he really could have, and I think that is ultimately what allowed Kwan to be safe at first. Swinging at that high fastball is Ramirez, down on strikes for the second time. So Bello gets out of that one, only the 1 run scoring. And that 1 run is actually the only run the Angels allow in this one, and ultimately take the victory over the Guardians. It looked to be an all-time performance from George Valera, who played in place of Joe Adell, giving him a day off today. 3 for 4 with 2 home runs for the Rule 5 pick. Maybe he needs to be on the field more often. Maybe it should be him starting instead of DeLauder. 8 innings pitched and only 1 earned run for Brayan Bello. So a really good outing. I think that was very much a worthwhile trade. And now we come up against Boston, actually, the team we just made the trade with. But we are back to simulating a 9-1 victory for the Angels, and then a 4-5 loss. And there is a serious chance that we have found a great player in Nicholas Diamond. That potential range still scares me, 71 to 94, but the present and future attributes still look pretty good. The only one that's really a concern is that home runs per 9, but the control actually came up, which was looking worse before. And then everything at the top part of his attributes still looks really, really good. And then Barry Staples does look like a decent player, but definitely not one I think is worth taking in the first or maybe even the second round. The Angels still hanging out 10 games over 500. I really thought after the Trout injury and now trading away Moniak that it might get worse, but the team is actually still playing just as well. 3 wins in a row against Boston and now New York on this stretch of road games. Finally, we do lose a game to the Yankees. A 12-1 victory over the Padres as the Angels go to 52 and 39. Couple hits for Neto, couple hits for DeLauder, 3 for Rendon, 2 for Ward, a bunch of RBIs, Joe Adell with a couple hits. This team just wants it. Guys, I like Nicholas Diamond quite a bit. Not ranked on the MLB board, 22nd on our draft board, 75 to 90 potential. So he's not going to have that super elite potential, but it also looks like he's going to be very good immediately, 66 to 81 overall. And then another not ranked guy, Joey Blake, is one I am finishing up scouting. Seems like a big contact discipline guy at third base. And we are now to the week of the draft. It's in just 6 days. As we head towards the All-Star break, Angels now 2 games back of the Rangers and about a half game back of the Astros. But now we've been hit by a little bit of an injury bug. Ben Joyce is actually experiencing a minor injury, although he will not miss significant time. Ohapi, however, will be out for 1 to 2 weeks with a pulled calf. We're going to put him on the 10-day. Luckily, we're coming up on that All-Star break, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Now, the Twins want Torrens, but we absolutely cannot trade Torrens right now. Torrens is going going to be the starting catcher for the foreseeable future while Ohapi is out. Hopefully that won't be too long though. And now it is time for the MLB draft once again. I feel like I've done a bit better with the scouting this year. My favorite player is definitely Eric J to be this first pick. I don't think it's flashy by any means. 78 to 93 potential. He's going to be solid. I did a lot better with the scouting this year, so I believe that these potential ranges should be more accurate than they were last season. He's going to start with a relatively high overall as well, 58 to 73, and he can also play shortstop. He's a decent fielder with a great arm, and it looks like he is going to be a bit more of a power bat than a contact guy, but is reasonable at both. I think he is easily our pick at number 9. Another guy that I really want to fall to the second round is Juan Chavez. He also looks to be very good. Went from not ranked to 6th on our board. Has high potential. Not as high of a starting overall for him, but he's only 18. He's a big guy and could be an excellent starting pitcher in a few years. And then there's Nicholas Diamond, who I absolutely would also like to take in the second or maybe even the third round, or hopefully he just continues to fall. But he looks like a real gem of a player. No pun intended. But I guess let's just see what happens as we head to the MLB draft. So we pick at 9. The Nationals, the Cardinals, and the Giants have the top 3 picks. And there were definitely a few guys at the top who looked really, really good. So we kick the draft off with Guillermo Correa, the right fielder, going to the Nats. He is not the first overall pick I was expecting, actually, as the Cardinals will take Steve Espinosa. That's the guy I was expecting, the third baseman. Didn't scout him a lot, but just from what we could see of him, he looks to be absolutely incredible. And with the third overall pick, the Giants take Javier Figueroa, another outfielder. And now we are on to the rest of the draft, and this is where you get nervous. I don't really see any issue with Eric J falling to us at 9. He was the MLB draft rank 23. I would be surprised if another team took him. A couple of infielders going off the board, as now it is the Rockies' turn. In the first round of last year's draft, they got Lee Pike, who looks to be a really good outfielder. This time they get another infielder, TJ Hickman, a second baseman. Now the Marlins, the only ones between us and Eric J, they take Jason Everett, a shortstop, and he also looks to be absolutely incredible. So now it is our time to pick, and I think it's just Eric J. I don't really think there's any question here. Let's just take a look at the board. I mean, we've got the time. Top guy on the board is David Murillo, another third baseman that now I'm suddenly wishing I had scouted. But I'm not going to take a risk on our first pick. It's going to be Eric J. Welcome to the Angels. Pablo Saenz is a really interesting pick at 11. He was the draft rank 129 on the MLB board. He was up to the top 50 for us. He looks to be fast, probably a solid player, but that is kind of a crazy pick this early from the Astros. And Barry Staples, another center fielder that I kind of liked, went off the board. He was in the top 30, so it's not as surprising. He had fallen down our draft rank a little bit, probably would have stolen him up had he dropped to the second round, but that was always going to be a little unlikely. Lou Batista now goes off the board, another third baseman. First round officially over. Still have yet to see any of our other favorites fall off the board yet. I am really worried about what I'm going to do between Juan Chavez and Nicholas Diamond in the second round. Maybe one of these teams will just make the choice easy and they'll take one or the other. I think that I'm going to end up picking Chavez. I prefer that higher potential range. They're both fully scouted and by the same scout, and I think there is something to the fact that Nicholas Diamond is rated lower on our Angels board than Chavez, despite, I think, probably having the better looking attributes. Diamond is probably going to be a better player out the gate, but I do think that Chavez is going to be the better player in the long term. So hopefully we can just land both of them. That's the ideal world here, but that's not always going to happen. And of course, I would like to get a guy like Hank Kutch as well, who is actually ranked in the draft board, who would be available for our third round pick at pick 84. The Rockies pick at 39. They take a pitcher, but not one of ours. So now we just got to wait a few more picks, and then it is Juan Chavez time most likely. And guys, 2 picks before my pick, Juan Chavez goes to the Cardinals. Oh, that is such a heartbreaker. I think he's going to be such a great player. I think he's going to have higher potential, but that solves my problem. Now I get to draft Nicholas Diamond, and I don't even have to think about it. Oh, that really sucks. 2 picks before us. Juan Chavez goes. Just really sucks. 2 picks before us. That's like rubbing salt in the wound. So Nicholas Diamond feels like the most obvious pick here. I think he's going to be really good immediately, just not as good eventually as Juan Chavez. But Nicholas Diamond, welcome to the Angels. Found him super late, an absolute steal it looks like, and he's very motivated to sign with the team. So now we only have a minute to pick every time, and we are to the point in the draft where I got to do a little bit more thinking. There's a couple guys here like Andre Dolan, who is a lefty, and then there's Hank Kutch. Dolan appears to have higher potential at 100% scouted, and so he's probably my lean here just because he's also a lefty. There's Richie Bautista, but he's not ranked. I think we can wait on Samuel and Chavez. So I think the pick here is Andre Dolan, a lefty starting pitcher. He's 6'5". He's a big man, got relatively high potential. Looks like he might be a bit lower in terms of the starting overall, but we need more lefties in the system. We're going to draft Andre Dolan. And now a few players that I really liked have gone off the board, like Freddie Franklin was a guy that I was looking at, and a few others, but we don't really have time to dwell on that, as now at pick 114, we got to decide what we're going to do. So we could go after closing pitcher Richie Bautista, who's a guy I like. We could also get an Orville Samuel. We could get an Alexis Chavez. We could get a Mark Sueikos. These are the only guys left on my board. Chavez not ranked. I'm hoping he might fall a little bit further. Plus, he's not really a great archetype in general. This is like strictly a potential pick. Samuel is very similar, a potential pick. Richie Bautista, however, looks like he might be pretty good as a reliever immediately. So we are going to take Richie Bautista here at pick number 114. We'll go ahead and advance, and actually nobody has taken any of these guys, and I think now is the moment where I'm going to take Orville Samuel. He's an outfielder that is very much just a high potential upside guy. His overall is going to suck, but he's going to have high potential most likely and will eventually be quite good. Or the other option is Alexis Chavez, who very much presents the same problem. So Orville Samuel, welcome to the Angels. Now we'll go ahead and sim to the next pick. And, you know, congratulations to us. Alexis Chavez is still here, who I do like enough to take with the final pick of the draft here. So Alexis Chavez, welcome to the Angels. And that'll wrap it up, I believe, for the 2026 first-year player draft. I am still just unbelievably heartbroken by St. Louis taking Juan Chavez 2 picks ahead of us. That hurts. And now we simulate one more game, and we are to the All-Star break at 55 and 43, and only 2 games back of the division lead. What in the world should the Angels do? But we will continue to simulate, see what happens, and we'll get through this All-Star break. And a big trade has come through. The Reds are acquiring Seiya Suzuki from the Cubs in return for Spencer Steer and Leonardo Ibarra. That trade is made even more interesting by the fact that they are in the same division, and the Reds, who acquired Suzuki, are 19 games back of the Brewers. So that feels very much like a win now move for a team maybe looking like they're entering a little bit of a rebuild. And for the Cubs, it feels like they would be, as they're only 3 games outside of 500 and 9 games back of the Brewers. Very interesting trade. So now we get to attempt to sign some draft picks. Eric J being the first one. He has a 70% motivation, so hopefully he won't be too difficult to sign. He's looking for 4.3. The suggested value is 6.2. I'd go 4.7 for our boy Eric, and he signs immediately. I'm really excited to see what's in store for Eric J. Next guy is Nicholas Diamond, 78% motivation. Should be really easy to get a deal done with him. He signs immediately. Andre Dolan, only a 55% chance to sign. We will submit him an offer. He decides to sign immediately. Richie Bautista, the closing pitcher, will also sign immediately. So no issues so far with these players. Orville Samuel, 64% chance for him. He has declined. And then Alexis Chavez, we actually cannot offer to just yet. He's only at 44%. But it's looking like it should be essentially no problem to get all of our players signed. A win versus the White Sox, 56 and 43 now the record. Joe Adele has strained his hamstring. He'll be out for a day or 2. We'll just auto that. No huge concerns just yet. Another big trade has happened. Mason Miller to the Royals. The Athletics get a haul of players, but they're all the same age as Miller or older. Alec Marsh being the youngest one. They get Kyle Isbell and John Schreiber. Very interesting move from the Athletics. Gotta say, I don't get it. We're gonna offer another contract to Orville Samuel. He declines once again. 67%, not super interested so far. So here's a look at contract extensions, and I'm just really curious what Taylor Taylor Ward would want. He wants 11.2 million per year. If we went down to 1 year, he'd want nearly 15, which is maybe not something that we would want to provide. But I don't want to make the same mistake where we don't get him re-signed like we did with Renhefo. 5 years seems a little long to commit to a 32-year-old. So it's either trade him and let him be a loner on another team, or keep him on our team and essentially have him be a loner for the rest of the season for us as well. I really don't think I want to give him a big time contract. Currently on the trade block, Taylor Ward is actually the second highest rated player, only behind Christian Yelich. The Brewers are looking to move off of the 34-year-old former MVP. And for whatever reason, the Dodgers just hate Dalton Rushing. This happens every year in MLB The Show. They look to trade one of the top prospects in baseball, one of the few guys this year in particular with a potential, and they're trying to get rid of him. Just doesn't make any sense. So a couple losses in a row to the Mariners, and now we can sign more draft picks. Hopefully Samuel will accept this time, and he does. And this is also the first time we can offer to Alexis Chavez. He has declined initially. One guy I might be interesting in getting a deal done with is John Means. I don't see him as a super long-term part of the team, but 77 overall as a starter can absolutely play, and lefties are sometimes hard to come by. He's 32, so it's not like he's super old. If we give him a 1 year, he wants about 11 million, which I believe is basically what we're paying him right now, 12.7 actually, to be probably pretty much the same player. He's regressing slightly in terms of the stamina and the home run per 9, but otherwise is actually improving. I want to give John a 2-year deal, and I'll give him the 10.9 per year that he wants. I think that's pretty valuable. And he's actually telling me he wants an increase in the salary. So I'd be willing to go up to 11 million a year, and he has accepted that. So John Means tied up for the next couple of seasons will be a nice lefty to have in the rotation. And now with the signing of Alexis Chavez, we have officially signed all of our prospects from this draft class. We are now 4 games back of the Rangers, 59 and 48. We are the #1 team in the wild card right now, though it is quite close between a number of teams. In fact, we are currently tied with division rivals Astros and Mariners. And the question is, do we really want to make this push to try to make the playoffs this season with honestly how bad the team really is on paper? If we do, we probably want to keep Taylor Ward. But I really don't want to make the same mistake I did with Renhefo, so I think I'm going to trade him away. Now, the guy I am eyeing getting is with the Orioles, Vance Honeycutt. He was their first-round pick in 2024. He's only 22 years old and does have B potential. I went and checked. The B potential is a true 81. So it's not like the guy's going to be on the elite side of B. He's going to be a low 80s overall at his best. The Orioles have very much built a win-now roster. It's very, very good with a good bullpen, yet they still find themselves about 6 games back in the AL East. And I think that Taylor Ward honestly really helps them out quite a bit. Now, it's very, very close on this offer already, but they are also willing to throw in Drew Chavez, who is a 24-year-old right fielder that is below a 50 overall. I don't know how worth it he is to have on the team. I guess it doesn't hurt to have more bodies. Who knows? Maybe he goes through some crazy development, but they're basically unwilling to part with anyone else. So this is the trade we are going to be making. Taylor Ward for Vance Honeycutt and Drew Chavez, sending him over to the Orioles. And the Orioles have accepted. So now Taylor Ward, no longer an Angel. He was a great part of this team for quite some time. Was one of the better players so far, honestly, in this series. Honeycutt will stay down at AA, and that is where he will play for likely the remainder of this season. So the batting lineup has had quite the fall from grace. It's undeniably worse than it was earlier in the season, but I think that's kind of the point. Another mini blow up to sort of prepare ourselves for the offseason and hopefully keeping Trout healthy next year to then make some type of push for the playoffs with him. What I am going to be doing next season with Trout, who is still regressing, by the way, is setting his stealing and base running aggressiveness to basically just 0. I think that he probably tore his ACL trying to steal a bag again, and that's just a problem. Can't have him running. He just needs to be available to hit. But man, this regression is brutal. So that's really the only trade I wanted to make. I will field any other offers if they're sent to me, but for the most part, that is it. And now the Angels get to deal with no Taylor Ward, no Mike Trout, no Mickey Moniak. The leader of the team at this point kind of becomes Joe Adell. And I know the obvious answer is Zach Neto, but the way Zach Neto's been playing this year, I don't know if you can really call him the true leader so far this year. Joe Adell's been much better and definitely is the captain of the outfield at the very least. He'll be playing right field. Chase DeLauder will play center, and against right righties, George Valera will get his chance to start in left. Against lefties, Sam Hilliard will be in left, DeLauder still in center, and Adele in right. So hopefully DeLauder can continue to perform here at the MLB level. I will absolutely take this slash line for his rookie performance, and his attributes are still increasing nearly to a 70 overall now. So now it's time to get through the rest of the month of July. The Brewers have made a big time trade. They appear to be going in this season trying to get a World Series done, making some moves. The Rockies do move off of Brenton Doyle, trading him to the Rangers. What an interesting move from the Rockies, and now we have to deal with playing against Doyle for years and years to come. The Rockies acquire Sebastian Walcott, a B potential shortstop. Seems like he could end up being a really good player. And then Jack Leiter, a starting pitcher. Wow, I think the Rockies kind of got robbed. Brenton Doyle was absolutely a centerpiece for them and has really come alive with the bat in recent years, where previously he was mostly just a fielder. That is a big time get for the Rangers. I mean, that is very significant, and that's going to hurt us for a lot of seasons to come. And we are officially to the trade deadline. We will advance one more day. Trades are over and done with. We'll simulate to the end of this one. So after the month of July, the Angels are 62 and 51. 11 games over 500. We're now 5 games back of the Rangers, who are starting to pull a bit further away. The Mariners have caught their way back up, but now we can view our draft picks. And man, did we have a really good draft class. Eric J, 86 actual potential, starts at a 66 overall with really solid power. His vision is also decent. His discipline and clutch are okay. And he's not a bad fielder for being 18 years old. That is an absolute hit in my book with Eric J. The 86 actual potential, he hopefully alongside Neto will be the left side of the infield for a long time to come. So Nicholas Diamond, I think I was kind of right about. He has 73 overall. He has 82 potential. So he's really good immediately. The home run per 9 is quite concerning, but everything else is honestly decent other than the pitching clutch. But the potential probably a bit lower than maybe we would have liked at an 82, but still a really good player. I am not complaining at all about that draft pick. Andre Dolan was quite the steal. 94 actual potential for Andre, a lefty with mid-A potential, 59 overall to start. Pitching clutch, hit per 9, K per 9 need work. Definitely more of a project than Diamond, but an absolute steal in the draft. I'm really excited about the big fella Andre Dolan, 6'5", 232. Richie Batista, a closing pitcher, was also a really good snag. 91 actual potential. Wish he was a lefty, but he's a 67 overall at the gate. He is almost ready to be in the bullpen as well. It'll be some type of battle between him and Emerson to see who actually gets to be the closer of the future, assuming it's not already Ben Joyce. Orville Samuel was a really good pickup. 92 potential for him in left field. He's a good fielder. Speed is not quite where I'd want it, and he's a 51 overall. So a ways to go for Orville. He's not going to be MLB ready for a long time, but he has very high potential, could be a superstar in the MLB in maybe 5 seasons or so. He's a ways away though. And then there's Alexis Chavez, 82 actual potential. I mean, you don't hate it for being the last pick of the draft. He's relatively fast with some good stealing numbers. And you know what? For 49 overall, 40 and 47 contact is not bad at all. Fielding is going to need a lot of work if he's actually going to be a shortstop. Looking to me like he's most likely a second baseman, but he could be good in the future. But this is definitely a much better draft class than we had last year. Didn't whiff on that first overall pick. Got some good starting pitchers, including a lefty in Andre Dolan. Got another reliever. Got an outfielder that projects out pretty well. And got Nicholas Diamond, who could start as early as next year. Pretty incredible draft class for us, I'd say. Still haven't found that true generational talent, but we've gotten pretty close, I think, with a guy like Dolan. And now we'll quickly go through everyone else's draft classes. A bad one for the A's. A bad one as well for the Mariners. A bunch of 70s, a couple guys they couldn't actually get signed. The Rangers get a starting pitcher with 86 actual potential, Derek Wolf. He's a 70 overall. It looks really good, actually. A guy we'll see a lot in this series, I'm sure. Pretty bad class for the Rays. Wow, Miami failing to sign basically anyone. And they got Jason Everett, that shortstop that was like the 1-1 pick. He was the #1 guy in the MLB board, and he kind of sucks. 64 overall, 72 potential. Todd Hodge, 86 actual potential, good pick for the Mets. Daniel Jones retiring from the NFL and becoming a first baseman for the Mets. Mets. Phil Lemon, a first baseman for the Phillies, looks to be pretty good. 90 actual potential for him. Washington failing to sign a couple of picks and had a couple late guys that look okay, but not a great draft class for them. Cubs got David Murillo. We could have drafted him, actually. He was available for us. I definitely think we got the better player in Eric J. Murillo is actually a 78 overall right now. That's a really good player already with 80 actual potential. So maybe I'm wrong about that. He's a decent fielder. Arm's not the best considering he's a third baseman. Would love to see the accuracy a bit higher, but pretty good contact and power ratings. Not a bad player. But the guys they really hit on were Edmund Walsh and Pete Martins. Reds ended up with a really good right fielder in Jungwoo Liu. Oh my goodness, his contact is very good. 61 overall. Horrible fielder. Very much a project in terms of his fielding, but could be good in the future. Mariano Velasco, the pickup for the Brewers, has very high potential. His arm is great, but his fielding sucks. So very much, I think, a corner outfielder more so than a center fielder. But he's fast with good contact, vision, and discipline. Not a bad pick with high potential. Johnny Hayes is the first pick for the Pirates. He looks to be pretty good. And here is Juan Chavez. And he does have 87 actual potential, so I was right. He has higher potential than Diamond. I feel like I kind of hit that on the nose, that Diamond more ready now, Chavez gonna be better later. Absolutely just devastated that we missed out on Chavez. Would have been a great second round pickup. Only needed to last 2 more picks, but St. Louis saw something in him, same as we did, and he'll probably be pretty good for them for a long time to come. Look at how balanced he is. He's so solid. They also got Brian Davis, another starting pitcher with high potential as well. Bad class for the most part for the Diamondbacks. Horrible class for the Rockies, and they just traded away Brenton Doyle. As a Rockies fan, it just hurts so bad to watch. Oh, but I didn't see this. They got Angelo Velasquez with a 94 potential, but he's a 50 overall, so a ways away from the majors. Pretty bad class for the Dodgers. You love to see it. Only one guy over 80 potential. Bernardo Cabrera was a good pick for the Padres, 89 actual potential second baseman. Bad class for the Giants. Edgar Aparicio, a first baseman for the Orioles, 63 overall with 90 potential immediately. That is a great pick in the second round. Otherwise, a bad class, though. Not great for the Red Sox either. Bad for the Yankees. Pierre Rivera for the Rays looks pretty good. Otherwise, not the best. Junior Drummond looks okay. Not great for the Blue Jays. Chris Castillo for the White Sox looks to be really, really good. A potential, 65 overall, 74 and 73 contact, high vision, discipline, clutch, and bunting. He's relatively fast with good stealing. He just sucks as a fielder, but man, he could play as a DH like tomorrow. An okay class for the Guardians. First 2 picks are not too bad. They did get a guy with 54 actual potential, though, very late in the draft. 67 overall. Bad class for the Tigers. Best player they got was probably Guillermo Vargas. They did get Fritz Vazquez, another late round guy with low overall, but decent potential. Lou Batista, the third baseman, is an 87 actual potential. Has high contact against lefties. Twins got a decent starting pitcher in Will Zeimer, 64 overall with high B potential. And then it actually looks like it's a pretty good class for the Astros. Pablo Sainz, who I said was a bit of a weird pickup, does actually look like a really solid player. Wow, he's fast. Fielding's not great. The bat is very balanced, and he has 84 actual potential and starts at basically a 70 overall. Seems like a pretty good pick, honestly. They also got Leandro Guzman, 86 potential for him. And Hank Kutch, another guy that I really liked, has 87 actual potential. Definitely way more of a project than the other 2 guys I really liked in Diamond and Chavez, but has high potential. And then we're back to us. I think we easily had the best draft class. It seems like this was not a great draft class in general, and we managed to find everyone at least 82 actual potential or better, and 3 guys in the 90s. And honestly, a couple of guys that can help us pretty quickly, like Eric J, not far from being major league ready. Nicholas Diamond is arguably major league ready right now. Andre Dolan is obviously years away. Richie Batista is pretty close to being bullpen ready, and then a couple late round guys that need some work. But I think this is a really successful draft class considering how bad this draft class appears to have been. But with all that out of the way, we're going to wrap up the episode there. The Angels are 62 and 51. It is not outside the realm of possibility that this team just continues to play well enough to make the wild card, even with this much worse roster that we now have. But who knows? It all remains to be seen. Thank you guys so much for watching and for the continued support. Shout out as always to the channel members. You guys are the reasons I continue to make these videos. If you find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that sub button for me. It does help me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next episode where we'll probably wrap up season number 2.